It was late autumn when he arrived in Prague, drawn by curiosity and the charm of the old city. Malostrana's cobblestone streets glowed faintly under the dying sunlight, but shadows clung stubbornly to the corners. He checked into a centuries-old hotel, a place whispered among locals to be haunted by the spirits of long-dead aristocrats. The receptionist handed him a brass key, heavy and cold, engraved with room 7. Her eyes flickered nervously as she whispered, "Some rooms carry memories. Some memories do not die." The hallway was narrow, oppressive. Faded wallpaper curled at the edges, floorboards groaned under every step, and the air smelled of decayed wood, dust, and candle wax. It was a suffocating mixture, thick enough to feel almost alive. Upon entering room 7, he felt the chill instantly. The furniture was ornate but decayed, dominated by a massive wardrobe. Shadows clung to the corners like living things. Each breath felt heavy, each movement resisted by some invisible weight. At midnight, the first knock came, slow, deliberate. It was not a simple sound, it carried rhythm, almost like a heartbeat. He opened the door. Nothing. The knock came again, louder, more insistent. A whisper brushed his ear. "Do not leave. Do not forget." The wardrobe seemed to pulse, the carvings twisting in the dim light. Compelled, he reached out. Instantly, a vision consumed him. A woman with pale, terrified eyes, clawing at the walls, screaming silently. Blood-red streaks appeared on the floorboards, flickering like fire under shadowed corners. The knocking became a relentless rhythm. Soft breathing joined, irregular, almost human but chilling. He turned toward the wardrobe. Its doors creaked open by themselves. A shadowy hand stretched toward him, then vanished. Hours passed. He tried to leave, but the doors resisted. The windows rattled, though no wind blew. Time warped. The room stretched and shifted, and whispers filled the corners. Angry, pleading, insistent voices from another world. By dawn, the room fell silent. Room 7 looked ordinary, yet the brass key in his hand was unnaturally cold, burning with an icy warning. He left trembling, but the memory followed him relentlessly. Every night, the knock returned, slow, measured, calling him back. He returned to Prague months later, seeking closure. The hotel staff denied any room 7 ever existed. Records showed no such key, no such room, but he knew the truth. Some rooms do not belong to the living. Some memories refuse to die. Some knocks echo forever. Even now, years later, when he closes his eyes, he hears it, the measured knock, like a heartbeat of the past, pulling him back, reminding him that some horrors are not confined to time or space, that some doors, once opened, never close. It happened in the mist-shrouded highlands of Scotland, in a village long abandoned. The locals never spoke openly of it, but whispers told of a plague in the 19th century that had wiped out every soul. Houses were left to rot, roofs collapsed under moss and ivy, and the narrow streets twisted through the fog like the bones of a forgotten body. A researcher, drawn by curiosity and the thrill of discovery, ventured alone into this desolate place. By day, the village seemed almost peaceful, the sun struggling through the ever-present mist. But as evening fell, a strange tension hung in the air, heavy and oppressive, as if the village itself was holding its breath. The final house on the winding street was different. Its wood was dark, warped, and old, the door blackened by fire and weather. Local legend said the door would knock at midnight, summoning spirits of those long dead. calling any visitor foolish enough to listen. As twilight deepened, he approached. The air grew sharp with cold, and a faint smell of charred wood and damp earth seemed to seep from the walls themselves. He hesitated, sensing eyes watching him from the darkness, though no living soul remained. Night fell fully. Thick fog enveloped the village, swallowing the streets and walls, leaving only the faint outlines of crumbling houses. A distant rustle, footsteps echoing where none could tread, whispered through the mist. His pulse quickened. Exactly at midnight. The door knocked, slow, measured, untraceable. The sound seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once, vibrating through his bones. Trembling, he opened the door just a crack. Empty, yet the knocking returned, louder, echoing from every corner of the village, as if unseen hands were reaching for him. Shadows moved in the fog, children darting past, women weeping silently, but whenever he looked directly, they vanished. Whispers called his name, faint but urgent. Laughter, distant and cruel, rattled the mist. You should not be here. Do not disturb us. The temperature dropped. His breath turned to mist. The fog thickened, twisting the streets, elongating the houses, making the world around him feel unreal, like a reflection warped in a dark mirror. The door creaked, alive, expanding and contracting as if breathing. Invisible hands pressed against his shoulders and back, pulling, tugging him toward the house, urging him inside. He stumbled backward. The fog closed in, suffocating. In a fleeting moment of horror, he glimpsed faces pressed against the windows, eyes hollow, mouths open in silent screams. The whispers grew into murmurs, murmurs into wails, echoing through the streets and inside his skull. Hours, or perhaps minutes, passed. Dawn finally arrived, fragile and pale, breaking through the mist. The village appeared empty once more, quiet under the sun. He fled, not daring to look back. Yet even under the bright morning light, he could feel the memory of that knock lingering. Masured and relentless, as if the door itself had claimed a piece of him. To this day, he says he can hear it. At night, when the wind carries through the hills, he hears a slow, impossible knock echoing through his mind. The village remains abandoned, but the spirits wait, patient and unrelenting, for the next intruder, brave or foolish enough to enter. Some doors, he realized, do not belong to the living. Some echoes never fade. And in the highlands, in that cursed village, the wooden door still waits. Outside Osaka, tucked away among overgrown weeds and rusting fences, sat a dye factory, abandoned decades ago. Locals avoided it, whispering stories of a deadly accident that had trapped several workers inside, leaving them to die amid chemicals and machinery. The storage room at the far end of the factory was infamous, locked, dark, and alive with stories of knocks from beyond the grave. A group of youths, drawn by thrill and curiosity, decided to explore one night. They entered through a side gate, the hinges creaking in protest. Inside, the smell of old chemicals, dust, and decay hit them instantly, burning their nostrils. Rusted machines loomed like silent giants, their shadows twisting unnaturally under the flickering light of their flashlights. Every corner seemed to watch them. Pipes groaned, water dripped in irregular rhythms, and the air itself seemed heavier, as if saturated with old sorrow. They laughed nervously, trying to dispel the tension, but the factory had its own plans. At midnight, it began. A slow, deliberate knocking echoed from the storage room. Not mechanical, not accidental. This knock had rhythm, like a heartbeat, like someone desperately calling for help. The youths froze, flashlights trembling in their hands. One of them, braver or perhaps foolish, approached the door. The knocking intensified, vibrating through the floor, walls, and even their bones. Shadows writhed in the corners. Lights flickered violently. The faintest glimpse of pale faces pressed against the machinery, mouths open in silent screams, replaying the fatal accident again and again. Every instinct screamed to run, but the door seemed to pull at them, calling them closer. Cold air swept out as if exhaling from the building itself, carrying whispers, "Leave, leave, leave." The voices came from nowhere and everywhere at once, chilling them to the core. Then, in a sudden, horrifying moment, the storage door creaked open. A shadowy figure appeared, tall, blurred, unmistakably human, one hand raised in warning or accusation. In the same instant, it vanished, leaving only the oppressive darkness and the echo of knocks. Panic took hold. The youths fled blindly through the maze of machines and debris. Their own footsteps and breaths sounded deafening. Outside, dawn's pale light spilled over the factory, calm and serene, hiding the terror of the night. But the factory never let go. Months later, the youths admitted they could still hear the knocking in quiet moments, see fleeting shadows at the edge of their vision, feel cold drafts brushing their necks, and sense the eyes of the trapped workers watching, waiting, calling them back. Some rooms, some places, hold memories too strong to fade. In Osaka, the storage room of that abandoned factory waits, still knocking, still haunted, and still hungry for the living to remember.
Thank you for following.